Hey guys, so over the last few years, cozy games have been taking over quite a lot. It used to be quite a niche thing, but suddenly out of nowhere it started trending and becoming really popular, especially amongst, I know, female gamers, people who were not previously gamers becoming gamers. I think it's really cool, and it's opened up this whole new world of video games. What was once just a very niche genre has grown and expanded quite a lot, and now we've got quite a lot of cool games in this genre, and I want to talk about some of the most popular ones. I've been quite selective and I've tried to only do some of the popular upcoming trending cozy games because simulation games is quite a very wide genre with a lot of different games. So these are all ones that I would consider to be, I guess, kind of cozy, the kind of thing that you'd like chill out and play or something whilst you're watching TV in the background. The more light-hearted ones that are not really that deep, because not everybody likes it deep. I mean, some of us do. Do I? That is for me to know, for you to never to find out. Anyway, sexual frustration aside, the first one we have is Story of Seasons Friends of Mineral Town. My personal first ever experience playing cozy games was Harvest Moon. For those who don't know, Harvest Moon rebranded into Story of Seasons, and the old Harvest Moon is different to the new Harvest Moon. It's a little bit confusing. So back in the day, we had Harvest Moon Friends of Mineral Town. It was an excellent game. I loved it so much. Harvest Moon Friends of Mineral Town was like the OG popular cozy game when cozy games weren't a thing. So when I heard this remake coming out, I was so excited, but unfortunately, okay, I will be honest, for one of the OGs, it's doing a little bit of a bad job. I think with the, newer Story of Seasons games, they're a little bit basic, and not like cozy games are supposed to be basic, but like in a fun way. But some cozy games, they fall short in that they're basic in a little bit of a shallow and tedious way, and that's what I feel about of the farming of Story of Seasons Friends of Mineral Town. It feels very childish, and I think it's really important to mention that cozy games are actually often enjoyed by people who are actually like older teens and up. There's a misconception that cozy games are not enjoyed by older people, like their kids' games, but actually most people who play these games are older. I mean, if you think about it, that's why these games have often, romance mechanics and things. I just feel like this like farming simulation gaming genre has moved on so much over the years, but the OG Story of Seasons, they just haven't really moved on, I feel like, and they haven't really innovated. They've just played it very samey. They haven't even updated like their graphical style that much, or they just haven't really bothered on improving many things. I just think out of all of them, it's not really the best. I feel really sad putting it in D because again, like it's literally like my ultimate favorite cozy game of all time when I was younger, the original version. It's just, I don't feel like they've innovated enough and stayed up with the times. The next one is Animal Crossing New Horizons. This is a really weird one. We do know now that they're no longer doing any more free updates of the game. They've basically finished it. They've ended it. I do feel like they ended the development of it and the updates of it in a really, really good state. Like, I had so much fun playing this game back when you know what, and every single time I've tried to like pick it up again, like I played it for like 10 minutes and I just got bored. I don't know if anybody else is the same. It's such a shame that it's run a little bit dry because it really is an amazing game. Like, it is so good, and like even now it still has a following, but that following is dying out. Honestly, I wouldn't have been mad if they actually added an additional like DLC, because obviously they added that like home designer pack. If they genuinely added like another DLC that was really, really good and offered a new experience, I think it would allow people to come back to the game without them needing to develop like a whole new game, because I just don't know, like, how are they going to top New Horizons? Do you know what I mean? I just don't feel like it's possible to top it, just like it's not possible to top me. Sorry, I'll stop. But obviously it is still actually relatively popular, which is why I wanted to include it on the list. And trying to approach it from the perspective of somebody who hasn't played it before or played it for a long time, it is like an exceptional game. Like, it's really, really good. But I feel like one of the core things that made it good was the community that was built around it, being able to visit other people's islands, doing the kind of villager hunts together with other people. It was really fun because nobody is playing it now, you don't really get to experience that side of it anymore. And it was that side of it that made it so special. But because that side of it is just running a little bit dry and it doesn't feel like it has the same charm. Oh, I don't know whether to do A or B. You know, I'm putting it in A. It is a cracking game still. Now, The Sims 4, I guess like I'm a Sims YouTuber. I swear to God, the last time I did a video like this, like so many people skipped the bit where I spoke about The Sims 4, but then they didn't watch any like other part of the video. So to all of those people, hello and goodbye. Whenever I speak about The Sims 4, I'm always a little bit critical. And in response to that, all the trolls love to run over to Reddit and call me an extreme right conservative or something because I said something they don't like about The Sims 4, because the Sims community is toxic. What I will say is, ever since The Sims 4's first release, it has had a lot of updates since then, which have made the game so much better. If you've never played any previous Sims game before and you hop onto The Sims 4, I think you will think it's an outstanding game. You will think it's a lot of fun and you will get a lot of fun out of it. If you've had a lot of fun memories playing the older Sims games, you'll definitely recognize that Sims in The Sims 4 don't have much personality. It's limited because it doesn't have an open world. It's limited by its lagging issues. Everything feels more like a set dressing. Nothing is really interactable in terms of gameplay, and it can come across as shallow if you played the previous Sims games. If you haven't and you don't know any better, by all means stay in your naive little bubble and enjoy The Sims 4, because I think it is enjoyable. Obviously, it's ridiculously expensive with all the DLC, so I wouldn't say it's good value for money, but I think it's a nice little package. It's just a package that will leave you wanting a little bit more. It's like, you know when you order something from like McDonald's on Uber Eats and then it arrives but they forget the dip, and you know like when you're like really looking forward to a dip, you know like sometimes they come out with the special dips and you like specifically order it but they deliver your food but they completely forget all the dips, and it's like, well, I can't enjoy this in the way I wanted to enjoy it, so I was really looking forward to the dips. I really wanted, you know, the sour cream and chive sauce, but I didn't get it, so like I can't enjoy my chicken nuggets. That's kind of like what The Sims 4 feels like. I hope you like understand. That's such the reason why I say that is because I just ordered at McDonald's. But do you understand that metaphor? It's like it gives you what you want, but they don't give it you in the way that you want it. But I still think it is literally free, the base game, and mods are free, so I still think it can be a really good experience. If we had Sims 3 on this list or Sims 2, I would have put it in S tier. I would say The Sims 4 is an A, but I'm putting it like at the end, if you know what I mean. So it's like a bottom A. Like again, I could make a bottom joke because I already made a top joke, but I won't make a bottom joke. The next game we have is Fae Farm. Fae Farm is another Stardew Valley dupe. This time it has the twist in that you're basically a fairy. So there's a lot of magic involved, which is like the twist. I will say, I think it's a good looking game. I think it's got a unique spin on the genre. One thing I like about it is that usually in like these farming sim games, decorating your home is like optional, but in this game it's kind of necessary because it helps to like power you up basically so that you can do better things. So it gives you more incentive to do it. It is just like a standard like farming sim. It's just got like a fairy spin on it. I mean, it's not for me because it's quite girly. I think it's an all right little package, honestly. I just feel like, I know this is like a little bit unpopular. I just feel like it's a little bit basic. I'm sorry. I think the spin on it is a really great spin. I just feel like perhaps they relied on that spin on the genre too much without going in enough depth in certain areas. It's one of those ones kind of like Story of Seasons where I felt like sometimes like it's just a little bit tedious for no reason. Especially socializing and romancing in the game is quite basic. It's not very good. And I feel like that's one of the things that should be in depth in a game like this. I think if you're a big fan of the genre and like you like Stardew Valley, but you want something different and you like cozy girly things, I definitely think Fae Farm may be worth it for you. I personally think it's a little bit overpriced, but I think it's an okay, nice little package. I'm putting it in B tier. Probably unpopular. You tell me what you think. We all have different opinions. Unless you're chronically online, then nobody else is allowed a different opinion to yours. But whatever, it's just what I think. Okay, the next two are kind of outliers in this list, but I wanted to put them in anyway, which is City Skylines and City Skylines 2. Even though they're not like the same kind of cozy game experience, I wanted to put them in because I played both of them a lot and I feel like they're enjoyed a lot by people who play these cozy games, which is why I really wanted to include it. But obviously it is one of the more like nerdy ones. City Skylines Skylines 1 is an absolutely cracking game. It is expensive with all the DLC, but if you just get the DLC for what you want, I think it's an excellent experience. The best city builder out there in the world right now, in my opinion, and it has an incredible modding community. Even though like we've moved on technically to Cities 2, there is still a lot of people playing Cities 1. The game is very much still relevant now. Maybe if I remake this video in a year's time, it might be different, but now it is still a very relevant game in my opinion, and a very good game. It is a cozy game as well. It is the kind of game that you can just chill out and play with without going too deep into it. The best part about it for me, again, I think it's like the community and like the modding around it in general. Like I feel like the game is just like such a vibe. Do you know what I mean? It's just a vibe. If you get it, you get it. City Skylines is an S tier. City Skylines 2. I feel like, oh, where do we start? I feel like this game was overhyped a lot. I feel like it was the developers bad and the community's bad equally. So when City Skylines 2 first released, it released as kind of like an early access game, but it wasn't officially early access. It was the official full release, but it felt like early access. A lot of people focus on the performance issues, which there definitely are a ton of performance issues, which are still present in the game, even though they have obviously been making a lot of efforts to fix them, and they're still making these efforts. They still exist. And I think, you know, if a developer chooses to release a game in a state that's not ready, we review it in that state and not its potential future state, because that's only fair to the consumer who's purchasing the game. For me, it's like the performance issues are honestly like they weren't that deep for me. Like I know it performs bad if you play on the higher graphic settings or if you don't have an amazing PC, but the issue for me is that even though the game has like so many features that didn't exist in the City Skylines 1 base game, it still felt somewhat empty and just very unpolished. It's such a shame because like in my review of it, I said like it's a really good game, like it's an incredible game, it's just not ready. Everything like I wanted to do, I felt like I could build it, but like with the Sims example, it was like ordering a McDonald's but not getting the sauce that you really wanted when you ordered it, and it's like it feels like something's missing, and like you get what you wanted but you didn't get it in the way that you wanted it. City Skylines 2, honestly, in my like, even though officially it is a fully released game, unofficially in my opinion it's in early access right now and it's just not ready. It's underdeveloped and needs to be in more development. I really hope that because now people have purchased the game that they've got the funding to keep making it a good game, because I feel like it needs a significantly higher amount of base game updates to make it good. I have a very strong feeling that it will be good in the future. I have a strong feeling that in a year or two's time from now the game will be impeccable, but it's just right now in its current state, I can't lie to you and say it's incredible, because it's not. In its current state, I would say it's a C, and I'm really hoping when I remake this video next year that it's going to be an S tier, because I want it to be. The next game we have is My Time at Sandrock. This is a sequel to the very popular game My Time at Portia. My Time at Portia was really beautiful. My Time at Sandrock is uglier, and that's because it's in a desert, and I feel like that's held the game back a little bit. However, it has improved on My Time at Portia significantly, and as such I think it makes for a really great experience. The interesting like quirky thing about My Time at Sandrock is that it almost feels like an RPG. It's like a cozy game, but it feels like it's obviously very light-hearted and like it's not that deep, but it almost feels like an RPG in a weird way, and I love RPG games, that's why I appreciate it. But I think one of the main things that stands it apart is it's got a really great storyline. It feels, I'd say, slightly more linear than the others in a good way. I feel like when people say linear, it's like, oh no, linear is a bad thing, we need big open worlds, but actually like being linear can sometimes be a really good thing, and I think it's still like an open game, very open, but it's got aspects of linearity with the storyline, for example, that give you unique challenges along the way and completely change the way that you have to play. And I like that it throws a spanner in the works every now and then. As I said, it's definitely like a little bit uglier than My Time at Portia, just because it's like in a desert. Gradually over time, like it does get better, but it is a very unique theme, I'd say. It's definitely one of the better cozy games in that it's not like a Stardew Valley dupe. They've actually tried really, really hard to innovate and make a really quirky experience. If you haven't played My Time at Portia and you want to know whether you should play that one or Sandrock, I definitely pick Sandrock because it improves on the first game a lot, but they're still both really good games. I haven't included My Time at Portia in this list because I feel like we've moved on to my time at Sandrock now, but I would say, honestly, it's a cracking game, okay? I'm giving it an A tier. If you were present for the Sims 4 segment, I'm putting the Sims 4 at the bottom of A tier, an A-. So it can go, do you know what? Yeah, I'm going to put it higher than Animal Crossing, I will. The next game we have is Coral Island. Oh my gosh, I love Coral Island. Coral Island is another Stardew Valley dupe, but the way they've gone about it is so incredible that it's one of those games that has a vibe, and it's a really unique and enjoyable vibe, and it's a very sexy game. All of the characters are really hot and you do feel horny playing it. I will be honest. The kind of like theme of this one is like an oil spill or something, like cleaning up the pollution. I like it because it's got so many different elements. Like it's got some fantasy elements in it. It's got all of the farming elements in it. And I feel like everything is done in a really in-depth way. It's one of those farming games where I feel like farming kind of takes like a back step compared to everything else. And I actually really appreciate that. And I think it's really cool. The storyline is really good. And it has like some different kind of main objectives to follow. And it's like every single day in the game, you can focus on something completely different and choose to play a different way each time. And I think it gives it a lot of value and challenge, but not in like a hard way, in a cozy way, if you know what I mean. I also think it has a really great progression system. Like you've got a town rank, you've got like different skill trees. I just feel like in every single aspect of the game, they made a real effort to make it in depth, because a lot of these cozy games, maybe they go in depth in one area, but not in others. And it's like this weird mishmash of like challenging, but also a little bit tedious. I feel like Coral Island does a really good job of making like literally everything really good and in depth. And it's also very sexy. For me personally, okay, this is my cozy game of the year. This is genuinely, okay, obviously it's S tier, at the top of S tier. Out of all of the games that I've mentioned and yet to mention, Coral Island is the best. If there's anyone you get, in my personal opinion, Coral Island is the best. Next up, we have Disney Dreamlight Valley. When this was first announced, I was so excited. And when it first released in early access, I was still excited. I thought, oh my God, this is really good. Like this is going to grow and develop into something amazing. They did announce when you purchase it in early access that it would be free to play. And then recently, over the last couple of months, they've said, actually, no, you're going to have to pay for it. And in addition to paying for it, you also have to pay for DLC. And it started feeling a little bit like Sims packs, if you know what I mean. Like it's getting a little bit too much. It rubbed me the wrong way initially, to be honest, when they first, you know, had the microtransaction currency in it, and they had the battle pass, and now they've got the DLC, and now it's not free to play anymore. They're monetizing from so many areas, and it feels like a mobile app game. You know, there's like really cash grabby freemium mobile apps. That's always how I've described Disney Dreamlight Valley. I just feel like it was ruined by that. I think Disney did a bad job when they gave the game to Gameloft, I will be honest, because Gameloft is primarily like a mobile app video game developer. I think they should have gone with a different one who focused on console and PC experiences, because right now the game does feel like a glorified mobile app. I will be brutally honest. And it's such a shame because like I do really like Disney, and I just feel like it has so much potential. It is still like pretty good with like the customization, for example, with your house and things. But I just feel like there's something missing. I feel like, okay, the game relies way too heavily on being Disney. If the game did not have a Disney skin on it, it would probably be getting quite negative reviews. I know some people probably don't want me saying that, and they're probably going to be annoyed with me. But being honest, like if this game was not Disney, if it just had a generic skin on it and all of the characters were generic, being honest, most of you would not be playing the game, and most of you would not like the game. I just feel like it relies way too hard on being Disney without trying to be a really great standout innovative experience. And it's such a shame because I really like Disney and I really wanted to enjoy this game so much. I just found it getting a little bit more and more tedious over time. If they didn't go down such a cash grabby route with it and they didn't run it dry, maybe I'd put it higher up on the list. But for now, I'm putting it in D tier, a little bit in front of Story of Seasons. It's a D+. I'm sorry, you're gonna hate me now. You're gonna run over to Reddit and call me an extreme right conservative for saying that. I don't care, okay? It's my opinion. The next one is Stardew Valley. Honestly, I'm surprised that I'm even like putting this on the list and talking about it, because like it should be dead, but it's not dead. It's like Minecraft, you know what I mean? Like it's never dying. The great thing about Stardew Valley though is that it is just timeless. If you play on PC, I think it's got a great multi multiplayer and modding community, even if you play on console. Like, it's such a chilled game. Like, I mean, Stardew Valley was made to feel like some of the OG farming simulations did back in the day when we all used to play on the DS or the Nintendo 64, whatever. It just feels really classic, but it feels modern and updated at the same time. And the best thing is, like, it's getting updated all the time with like so much new good stuff. And that's what gives it a lot of replayability value, because every single time I play, I usually play it like non-stop, and then I never play it again for like months, and then I play it again after there's a new update, and it always feels like a new experience each time. I think the storyline is very, very simple, but necessarily simple. I just feel like Stardew Valley is the best cozy game for like being kind of mind-numbing, but in a really addictive way. And it's like every single time I make my character go to bed, I always want to do just like one more day. I say to myself, like, oh, I'm just going to play one more in-game day and then I'm going to stop. But I don't. I play like multiple until I realize it's like 2 a.m. I really don't have anything bad to say about Stardew Valley. I'm popping it in S tier. The next game is Palia. Now, this is an interesting one because the whole spin on this was that it was going to be an MMO. Every time I talk about MMOs on my channel, everyone says like, what's an MMO? You know, like World of Warcraft, it means massively multiplayer online. It's basically a huge multiplayer single universe where everybody plays together. Like when you play Fortnite with a big group of people, it's multiplayer online, and that's what Palia is, but you're not shooting each other. You're farming together and you're hunting and gathering resources together. Palia was one I was really excited for because I heard it was being developed by a lot of people who have worked on popular MMOs like World of Warcraft or Final Fantasy or something. When I got it, honestly, I was really surprised at the lack of multiplayer online elements, because that was supposed to be like the key selling point of the game. You exist in a relatively small world considering it's an MMO, and there's not actually that many people in your world with you, and the multiplayer elements I would say are pretty basic if I'm being completely honest. You know, I play Final Fantasy 14, which is an MMO, and it's a primarily like battle focused, like, you know, fighting fantasy kind of game, but there's a lot of like cozy crafting and farming mechanics and things, and to be honest, I find it a little bit more fun in Final Fantasy than I do in Palia. I feel like Palia is one of those ones which hasn't quite grasped the difference between chilled and cozy versus tedious and shallow. Right now, Palia is still in like early access, so it's still undergoing a lot of updates and they're still developing it a lot over time, and they still need a lot of work to do. Obviously, like, I don't want to judge it too harshly, because if a game is in like early access, like they're literally telling you that the game is not ready. So I don't want to make like all these judgments about it, but I will say it has a lot of work to do. I think if you pick it up now, you will enjoy like messing around on it, but it's not like this totally captivating experience. I just feel like they have a lot more to do and a lot more places to go, especially with the multiplayer elements. Like, they can make the farming elements, the hunting gathering elements as good as they want, but at the end of the day, like, the whole point is that it's an MMO and they really need to focus on that and, you know, sort that bit of it out so that it feels like, you know, the world's first massive cozy MMO game like it was supposed to be. The game is free, which is always good. I just feel like it's one of those games where it's like you're gathering things in order to make tools to gather more things so that you can gather more things and then gather more things. But it's like, why are you gathering all these things? Do you know what I mean? It does obviously have like quest lines. I just feel like outside of the quest lines, it's just like, I feel like the features exist for the sake of existing, and I just feel like they need to work on it so much more. I'm not saying like, oh, I hate the game. I think it's a really great idea. I think it has so much potential. I just feel like they need to work so much more on the multiplayer elements and focus on making the game feel a lot more challenging and rewarding in order to make it feel like a truly standout experience. But I'm not going to be a bitch, because I understand it's like only released like just a few months ago, and like they literally said like it's early access and they're developing it over time. Because of that, I'm popping it into B tier. I think it has really great potential and I'm excited to see where it goes. So I'm so excited to read all of your hate comments to tell me how my list is totally wrong, because of course, nobody is allowed to have their own subjective opinion. And like, I'm joking. You're allowed to have your own opinion. I'd like to hear your opinions. Tell me, genuinely tell me if you think I'm like totally wrong about one of these games. As I said, my personal favorite, like standout one out of all of these of the entire year is Coral Island. You let me know what you think about Coral Island, because I really want to know. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. I will see you in the next one.